Errol Spence Jr. versus Yordenis Ugas. It's hard for me to see a knockout. Parang tingin ko lang parang walang knockout dito kasi parehong magaling, matibay ito si Ugas at si Errol Spence syempre undefeated yan. Dito sa video nito, sasabihin ko sa inyo kung sino sa tingin ko ang posibleng manalo. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna give you why sa tingin ko ang mananalo ay itong boksingero na ito.
Powcast Sports. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.
Excited na ako sa laban na to. Malapit na. Saturday night in the US and Sunday morning in the Philippines. And you're looking at the box rec comparison, the tail of the tape. Of course, let's talk about the tail of the tape first para magkaalaman. So kung hindi nyo pa alam, of course, this will be a welterweight contest for the WBC, WBA, and IBF title unification po ito. Spence Jr. is 32 years old, 35 naman si Ugas. And then they both are listed at the same height at 5'9". Mas matangkad ng konti si Errol Spence. Mas mahaba yung kamay ni Errol Spence. And their record, their win, almost identical except for the defeats. 27 wins. And then yung talo ni Yordenis Ugas, that's 4 na yan. That's 4 defeats already. And then 21 knockouts, nabaligtad 12 knockouts. And let's also kind of look back at the last 6 fights. So Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Mikey Garcia, very good name in the resume of Errol Spence, Carlo Ocampo Manriquez, Lamont Peterson, and Kell Brook. Samantala, of course, Manny Pacquiao, Abel Ramos, Mike Dallas Jr., Omar Figueroa, Sean Porter, and Cesar Miguel Barrio Nuevo. Okay, so let's talk about this fight from my perspective. Sa mga Filipino boxing fans, alam ko, inaabangan nyo ito. Ito yung laban ng nakalaban ni Manny Pacquiao, which is Yordenis Ugas. Nakatalo po kay Manny Pacquiao. Legitimately, tinalo po si Manny Pacquiao. No excuse right there. But Ugas did what he needed to do against Manny Pacquiao. And so that's one of the protagonists against Errol Spence, who was supposed to be fighting Manny Pacquiao. Now, every Filipino or Manny Pacquiao fans, the boxing fans, will be wondering what if yun ang natuloy na laban. Most people would say that, that could have been a better situation for Manny, but we're not talking about Manny here. We're talking about these two fighters. On the immediate point of view of things, I believe lamang dito si Errol Spence Jr. because he is undefeated and people is considering him as well as one of the best welterweight and pound per pound fighter today, dapat nga silang dalawa ni Terence Crawford ang maglalaban. So let me also give you an idea that the Terence Crawford fight hopefully could happen if kung sino man yung manalo dito sa dalawa na ito. But this is gonna be a tricky fight for both fighters. Just to give you also a background, Errol Spence, I'm sure you already know, but people keep talking about still the accident that happened that almost, and we were all wondering how he was able to survive without broken bones in his body, but he was able to do so. In fact, he was able to return successfully and win a fight against Danny Garcia. So if you look at that, Danny Garcia. So people is still kind of uncertain if Errol Spence is Errol Spence. But I think these days, at least maybe 95%. No, even me, I still worry about that. But there's a plus and a minus, I think, in reference to that situation. Because that situation that happened to him, I'm sure physically he is ready to fight because he was cleared by the doctors. And, our body heals. And he could be healed already right now, But the mental aspect of it is really the one that may be in question. But the thing is, Errol Spence, sabi nga ni Errol Spence when he returned back into action, into boxing, tuna fights or activity fights are just for people that are uncertain of themselves. And Errol Spence is not, and that's why he took Danny Garcia fight and win that fight. He does not look the same, and who would be after an accident or after a certain time out of boxing. So I'm sure he has developed new things, new arsenal, and new strategies. And one thing, no, sinasabi nila, it could be positive as well. Mag-iingat na daw. Errol Spence will be careful in how he deals with his boxing strategy. He'll be more careful. Siyempre, the mindset natin, I got injury, I got this, so maybe I need to be careful of this part of my body. So that's up there mentally. But then it's up to Errol Spence on how he used that as a positive. Siguro, mas maganda na yung mga galaw ni Errol Spence, mas gaganda na. And I do believe on this upcoming fight with Yordenis Ugas, that would just be a shade. It wouldn't matter at all para sa akin. Errol Spence is still, I believe, faster. He has more tools and arsenal and weapons. And yun lang, yun yung, I think, the advantage of that. He's still the A side. However, so on the flip side naman, para kay Yordenis Ugas is one of the guys that most of us, or a lot of the boxing fans and even analysts, parang look past, underestimate. And we underestimate that as a Filipino boxing fans during the Manny Pacquiao fight. And everyone never thought na mananalo si Ugas against the legendary Manny Pacquiao. But he proved himself. He won that fight, and he won that fight convincingly and with the right strategy. He has a very good coach, and he has also very good basics. He utilizes the jab very well, and he's also a different boxer than what before. No, I think he has improved his boxing skills, and matibay itong si Ugas. No, he has 4 defeats, and those are, some of those are close fights. Even some of those are questionable, according to some of the people. So Ugas, we should not look past Ugas. Ugas certainly have the capability for an upset, but the word upset against the undefeated, that's going to be a tall task. So Ugas, it will be very interesting depending on the kind of strategy that Ugas would apply on the fight, because and this is cliche, styles makes fight. However, kung ano man yung gawin nito ni Ugas, I mean, he has the very good strategy against Manny Pacquiao, and Manny Pacquiao also was on the downside there, and Manny Pacquiao has no legs. But the Errol Spence fight is a totally different fight. They're both southpaw. Errol Spence is southpaw, Manny Pacquiao is southpaw. So Ugas knows how to deal with that. Ultimately, however, I think, by the way, this fight is happening in Texas. So let me just check that again. AT&T Stadium, I believe. Let me just scroll up a little bit. Yeah, AT&T Stadium. So that's a big venue. And Errol Spence Jr. just got Errol Spence Day on April 16, I believe, which is the day of the fight, April 17 here in the Philippines. So Ugas needs to be extra good on this fight. He needs to improve than the Manny Pacquiao fight, because he's fighting in Texas. Errol Spence from Texas, and that's an Errol Spence Day. So it's hard for me to say this, but when you get up in the ring, obviously it's Texas, so you better make sure that each and every one you clearly win the round, because if not, they're probably gonna go to Errol Spence. That's just my opinion. Nothing against anyone, but that's boxing. So I think Errol Spence is probably gonna win by decision. I don't know. I think Ugas is tough. I don't see any knockouts. Maybe technical knockout, but yeah, I just don't see a knockout here. I do not see, and of course, when there's an opportunity, when suddenly someone make a mistake, in the fight and there's an opportunity for a knockout, then the fighters usually take advantage of that. But considering what I said about Errol Spence being careful, but still being aggressive, then he knows that Ugas is a tough dude and can also fight. So I think this would be a decision win. I would say unanimous decision, but it could be a close fight. But it's I don't see a knockout or maybe a TKO, but I don't see it. I'm trying to envision it in my mind, but I just don't really see it. So Errol Spence by decision. He's faster. I think he'll throw a lot of punches, and therefore the judges will see that and ultimately give Errol Spence the win and the belts. That's it. What do you think, guys? Let me know what you think about this fight, Errol Spence versus Ugas, happening on April 16 in the U.S. in Texas, and in the Philippines, April 17. I'll be doing a live commentary as well. And before I end this one, I would like to also just mention that the fight card is really good. According to BoxRec, I mean, there's a lot of great fights here. Buta Evers, Tanyonis, Crowley versus Lopez, Isaac Cruz versus Gamboa, Jose Valenzuela versus Francisco Vargas, and a lot more. And, these guys have good records and very good matchup. So we should watch out for that. And of course, comment lang po down below what you think about the fight. I'm doing English, Tagalog commentary because this is an international fight. Maybe someone from outside the Philippines is watching this. But if you're watching this from outside the Philippines, we mostly do Tagalog commentary. But this time around, of course, we want to make sure that a lot more people understand what our opinion is about this fight. We'll put out a lot more on the other fights that we're familiar. But that's it for now. Please comment, share, like, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Salamat po.
Powcast Sports. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.